There are over 1,500 deaths per year in the United States due to drowsy driving. Loss of productivity due to insomnia costs America $63 billion every year. 1 in 3 people report having fallen asleep at their job. Poor sleep is definitely a serious problem that must be dealt with, and it must be dealt with today. Today, I am here to persuade you to work on your sleep problems now by taking steps to regulate your sleeping schedule. I will tell you about how widespread poor sleeping habits are, how irregular sleep causes poor sleep, the negative impacts of poor sleep, and steps you can take to improve your sleeping habits. First, poor sleeping habits affect a significant portion of the population. A significant number of adults have poor sleeping habits. A report from the Center for Disease Control states that 35.3% of adults said they got less than the 7 hours of recommended sleep per night. This same report stated that 37.9% reported unintentionally falling asleep during the day at least one day in the preceding 30 days. College students have particularly poor sleep. According to a study by Franklin C. Brown, Walter C. Boltz Jr., and Barlow Soper, at least 2/3 of college students report occasional sleep disturbances, and 1/3 of those report regular, severe sleep difficulties. Sleep disturbances are anything that interferes with sleep, and include, but are not limited to, the inability to fall asleep and unintentionally waking up in the middle of sleep. It is also a worsening problem. In a 2009 study called Sleep Habits and Patterns of College Students, an expanded study, Walter C. Boltz Jr. and others noted that responses to individual items indicate an increase in % of respondents reporting poor sleep quality. This is also a worldwide problem. In my research, I found studies into poor sleep from around the world, from China to Japan and Italy to Brazil and the United States. Now that you know how widespread the problem is, I will explain to you why irregular sleep causes poor sleep. The human body's natural sleep patterns depend on its circadian rhythm. This is a 24-hour cycle that occurs in a huge variety of life forms, including humans. It affects when our bodies can produce certain hormones, including those that control sleep, and is affected by the body's exposure to sunlight throughout the day. We disrupt that cycle when we sleep irregularly, by staying up all night some nights and sleeping in all day others. Nana Takasu and others in the scientific journal Sleep and Biological Rhythms describe the results of such sleeping habits as the irregular sleep lifestyle disrupts the light-dark cycle. The circadian clock cannot be kept stable. Under this situation, discrepancies between the circadian clock and social schedules are produced, which can cause poor sleep quality, lower daytime alertness, worsen mental balance, and poor psychological well-being. So, irregular sleep causes poor sleep. But what are the potential consequences of poor sleep? Well, first, poor sleep makes mental processing and focus more difficult, and this can lead to lower grades. According to Professors Amy Wolfson and Mary Karskadon, findings strongly point out that self-reported shortened total sleep time, erratic sleep-wake schedules, late bed and rise times, and poor sleep quality are negatively associated with academic performance for adolescents from middle school through the college years. Poor or irregular sleep can also lead to weight gain. In a study of truck drivers in Brazil who worked irregular shifts compared with those who worked regular daytime shifts, scientist Elaine Marquez and others discovered higher level BMIs in those who had irregular schedules, in spite of the fact that they were more physically active than the other group. This can become a vicious cycle, as the weight gain leads to poorer sleep, and that can in turn lead to more weight gain. Finally, poor sleep can drain your psychological health and well-being. Multiple studies have been done which tie increased levels of stress, depression, anxiety, and hostility to poor sleep. Larissa K. Barber, Elizabeth A. Rupchet, and David C. Muntz performed a study on poor sleep habits' effects on psychological and social well-being. Social well-being is a measure of one's perception of social acceptance and social contributions. Their study's results indicated that poor sleep hygiene was likely to lead to a lower level in both areas. So improving your sleep habits is definitely important for preserving your mental and physical health and for success in school. So in what ways can you work to regulate your sleep schedule? First, establishing a regular sleeping schedule is key to improving your sleep habits. This means varying your wake times and bedtimes by less than 2 hours each day. There are things you can do in order to sync up your circadian rhythms. First, get exposure to sunlight early in the morning by looking out your curtains or by not wearing sunglasses when you go outside. Spend some time throughout the day outdoors, even if it is just for short periods of time. Do not use a computer, phone, or television in a period of time before bedtime. The blue light from the screens is too similar to sunlight and confuses your brain. There are things you can do to make sure your body is ready to go to sleep once you get in bed. First, exercise daily, but not right before bedtime. Stretch or do something similar, like yoga, right before bedtime. Do not drink caffeinated beverages later in the day, and do not sit in your bed when you're not about to go to sleep. This causes your brain to associate your bed only with sleep. There are things you can do to improve the quality of your sleep. Try to make sure your sleep environment is quiet, dark, and comfortable. Do not drink alcohol just before bedtime, and do not go to sleep thirsty. Both of these mean going to sleep dehydrated, and your body cannot perform its necessary functions while you're sleeping. And finally, do not eat a big meal right before bedtime. Some of you may argue that you do not have enough time to sleep because of schoolwork. A report by the Social Science Research Council found that university students spend 51% of their time each week recreating or socializing, while spending only 16% total each week in attending class or studying. I remember from my own experiences of attending college that procrastination was the main cause when I had to stay up late to finish my homework or to study for a test. You can work to improve your sleep, but what might happen if you chose not to and kept up an irregular sleeping schedule? My brother started his college career with a lot of promise. Unfortunately, away from home, he quickly adopted the extreme sleeping schedule of most college students. He began sleeping through classes, and his grades started to slip. He then lost his academic scholarship, and a combination of this and the falling grades forced him to withdraw from school. As a result, he had to start all over again, attending community college while having already piled up thousands of dollars in student loans. Now he is 26 years old with a year and a half of school left to go and has never been able to maintain a regular job because his sleep schedule is so thoroughly out of whack. I was nearly fired for being late repeatedly in the first few years of my job. I refused to accept that my sleep habits of trying to make up all my weekday missed sleep on the weekend were to blame, insisting that I was getting plenty of sleep. I started missing things I wanted to go to because I was too tired to go. I put in even more weight than I gained during my years in college, and I didn't have the energy to exercise. Finally, not wanting to get fired, a few years ago I started taking steps to correct my sleeping habits. Unfortunately, because I had been sleeping irregularly for so long, this was difficult to make the change, but I did so gradually. Even in the time I have been researching for this speech, I have applied new things I have learned, and my sleeping habits have improved remarkably. I feel more refreshed than I have in years, despite having more to do every day than I ever have had before. Some of you may be thinking that this won't affect you, and that you will just get a job that works later in the day, allowing you to sleep in. Well, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 80% of employed people in the U.S. were at work from 8 to 9 in the morning. Additionally, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, the average commute in the United States was 26 minutes. Thus, the likelihood of having a job that allows you to sleep in late each day is fairly low. In conclusion, I have encouraged you to start sleeping more regularly now by telling you how widespread poor sleeping habits are, how irregular sleep causes poor sleep, the consequences of poor sleep, and some basic ways to improve your sleeping habits. So start sleeping well now, and your future self will thank you for it later. And keep in mind that while laughter may be the best medicine, sleep may just be right on up there. As the Irish proverb puts it, a good laugh and a long sleep are the best cures in the doctor's book. Thank you.